Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to Blue Station with yet another video. I hope you are good, enjoying and learning as well. My efforts are helping you guys. So we are covering our module for risk hazard identification and risk assessment HIRA process, which is very important topic in health and safety. So for the first video, we cover the different types of hazards, and today we will start the implementing the risk assessment process. And today the topics are very important. We will cover the basics of the risk assessment and then different costs that business has to bear due to the poor HSE, and what is the purpose of the risk assessment. Then accident triangle, the principle of it, and how it works, how it benefits us. In the last, we will see the implications of the poor HSE on the employees, employer, and our society. So these are very important topics in HSE. So let's start them. Welcome to presentation, everyone. We are covering our uh, module number 4, hazard identification and risk assessment HIRA process. So it is a part 2 video in which we will start understanding the implementation of the risk assessment process. Module guide. We know that hazard identification and risk assessment HIRA process is a very famous, globally accepted practice process in which we systematically identify potential hazards and then evaluate their associated risks, and then develop and implement the suitable control measures so we can ensure that effective health and safety or risk management is achieved. So today it is a part 2, second video in which we will start understanding the implementation of the risk assessment process. Let's start it. Key topics we will cover today: basics, risk assessment basics, costs associated with the poor HSE, purpose of the risk assessment, accident triangle, impacts of the accidents on the employees, employer, and society. Learning outcomes. So at the end of the video, you will have a good understanding about the basic concept of the risk assessment, a good understanding about the different types of costs that a business have to bear for a poor HSE, and the implications of poor HSE on employees, employer, and society. Then you will have a good understanding about the purpose and importance of the risk assessment in preventing accidents, and also you will have a good understanding how to apply basic risk assessment principles on ground scenarios. Let's look into the introduction of today's topic. Effective risk management is crucial for ensuring the health and safety of the people of the business itself, and the environment. The risk assessment plays a crucial role, and we will start understanding the risk assessment process. We will look into the basic principle of the risk assessment as well as the purpose of the risk assessment. Also, we will consider or look into the different types of costs that different stakeholders relevant to the organizations have to bear in case of the poor HSE. Next topic is risk assessment basics. Before we start it, I have a thought-provoking question for you, so you can also participate actively in this discussion. So I ask you a question, you pause the video, and then you can think of the answer. So this way you can also test your current knowledge or understanding about the subject matter. So what comes to your mind when you think about the risk assessment process, considering that you are the one who are going to conduct the risk assessment in your organization? So let's think it in your mind. So we move forward. So risk assessment is basically the careful examination of anything in your organization that can be a potential source of the harm, and then you weigh up and you look into your existing control measure, whether they are sufficient, they are effectively controlling, protecting your people business, or you need to implement further controls. So this process is basically called risk assessment process. Let's look into another definition which is more. Last one was the general. This is principal definition of the risk assessment. Risk assessment is a basically process of identifying all the potential hazards in the within the organization, then evaluating their associated risks, and then estimating the level of these risks. Then we compare them with the standards or the legal requirements legislations to determine that whether our risk levels are within the acceptable limit, or we have to do further, we have to implement further controls or take further actions to bring them to the acceptable level. So this process is called a risk assessment process. Why risk assessment process is necessary? It is necessary to maintain and improve our implemented health and safety standards, and to ensure that we comply with HSE related legislation. So we fulfill our legal obligation. How we achieve that? We first identify the gaps or the potential hazards, then we implement the suitable control measures to achieve this. Next topic, who conducts risk assessment? Very important one. Assessor. A thought-provoking question for you. You can stop the video, think of the answer, then you can start again. So this way you can also test your current understanding. So what do you think should be the minimum level of the competency for an assessor who is going to conduct a risk assessment in an office environment like in a bank? So let's move forward. This is very important person, assessor who is going to conduct risk assessment. The whole health and safety will depend on its the performance. So he should be the one who has a very good and solid understanding and awareness about all the processes and activities being conducted in an organization as well. He is good, well aware of all the situations, circumstances, and conditions that can lead to the hazardous situation or incidents or can cause harm. At the same time, he has good understanding and is aware of that how these situations under circumstances and conditions may emerge and how to effectively control them. So they, on the first hand, do not emerge. So such a person should be the assessor. So now who is this man? The person who has sufficient knowledge about all these processes, situations, and circumstances. He had all the required skills which are required to maintain or control or handle these situations. And also he has a good experience. He has gone through all these things many times. So such a person is called competent person, or such a competent person should be a assessor of a risk assessment. Now, note key employees are the valuable source of the information. So employees are basically those who are facing these hazards on the first hand, and they are uh, doing this job for very long period of time. So they are in better position to tell what can be the dangerous, how things can be dangerous, and how to control them effectively. So their feedback in the risk assessment process can be very crucial to ensure that our risk assessment process is effective. So let's understand all this process in the simple way. So all of us, all the people doing the risk assessment in all the time, when we are going to cross the road, so we do proper risk assessment there. Our brain does it for us. Basically, it is informal, not structured one. So basically, when we go to the road, we look at the hazard, how much traffic is there. Then we make the judgment. We evaluate the risk. We decide is it safe for us or it is dangerous for us. Then we decide whether should we cross it from here or we should adopt some other route. So what is this? This is another basically a risk assessment process. Similarly, for the organizations, basically most of the organizations which involve the indoor office works like banks. So risk assessment process is very simple as there is no such high or critical risk there. So generic risk assessment are sufficient for them because there are no such hazards which are changing with the conditions or circumstances. So there's a simple safety control measures can effectively control all the hazards and ensure the safety of the business. But for the other organizations where the processes and the activities are very critical, risk levels are very high and they are always changing as the circumstances or conditions are changing, like in oil and gas and construction side. So we set a very strict criteria, like we mentioned earlier, for the assessor. So for such critical activities, obviously the assessor must have some specialized knowledge, must meet the minimum requirements of the competency. So now, to answering the question I first shared with you, asked you. So for a bank like work environment, anyone who has just common understanding like manager, supervisor, who can be the assessor of the risk assessment. But for the organizations where critical activities are involved, the assessor must be sufficiently competent. In the organizations where like bank, we can just adopt a generic risk assessment basically, which can be developed. We will understand it later in the module, which can be in the form of the checklist, and that checklist is sufficient. Anyone who can understand this checklist can conduct the risk assessment. Next topic, what to cover in the risk assessment. First come the health aspects. All the aspects, factors that can impact workers' health must be covered in the risk assessment. How people's health can be affected. Thought-provoking question for you. You can stop the video, test your current understanding. Think of the answer. What are the factors in your organizations that can impact your health? So these are basically work environment. Maybe your environment is not good. Their air quality is very bad. Temperatures are very low or very high, like extreme temperature, very cold or very hot. Humid conditions. These can impact your health. Maybe the processes are dangerous. Uh, Activities involve radiations that can be harmful for you. Similarly, lot of manual handling to the task with the repetitive movements, or so these can be dangerous for your health. Then the equipment you are using may be producing too much of the vibrations, or the materials, they can be dangerous for your health. Then conditions, maybe the work life balance is not good. You are working too much overtime, physical fatigue. Then mental fatigue or mental conditions, if you are in the stress, if the workers are in the stress due to the workload or other things like deadlines or other forms of pressure. So these are all the things or other things that can impact your health, must be covered in the risk assessment process. Next, we must cover the safety aspects to prevent the accidents in the risk assessment. Work environment, like bad lighting can cause the accident. High noise levels can cause the distraction leading to the accident. Then processes, maybe the poor maintenance process can lead to the equipment failure during the activity, which can be very dangerous. Similarly, the other processes like involvement of the flammables during the activities can cause fire explosion. Equipment using mechanical equipment like heavy equipment or the other machinery that is have the rotating parts like chains, cutters, so they can have mechanical energy. They have mechanical hazard that can harm us, impact, crushing, etc. Similarly, materials, hazardous materials that can cause physical harm to you. Conditions like slippery floors, works at height, so these can all things can cause to the physical harm to the people. So all the aspects of the safety that can physically harm people, environment of the business must be included in the risk assessment. The reasons for the risk assessment, moral reasons, duty of the care worker has the contract between or exchange the services against financial benefits. So he should not be harmed at any cost. Then legal reasons, obviously if things go wrong, there can be legal implications, prosecutions, imprisonment, fines. And then there are financial reasons, obviously if their HSE is bad, there will be accident, incident, and the business have to be a direct and indirect cost which will impact the business. Let's understand direct and indirect costs. Direct cost of the incidents are the costs that immediately and directly arise from the incidents, like if worker gets injured, he go to the hospital, medical cost you will have to bear is the direct cost. Similarly, if your equipment plant is damaged, property is damaged, repair or replacement cost you have to bear is the direct type of cost. These are easy to identify because they are directly emerging directly from the incident and also easy to quantify. Then there are indirect costs. Basically, these are the hidden expenses, or we can say that these are basically the post-incident consequences. So these costs are basically not directly arising, rather they are hidden, like lost productivity due to the incident. Your worker was absent, and your production was there was downtime. So the cost due to the downtime is basically the indirect cost. As the indirect costs are not immediately visible, as they are not linked directly to the incident, so it can be very difficult to identify them or quantify them exactly. So let's look into some types of direct costs. Fines due to the incident, you have to be a compensation cost. Employee absence, if the employee injured in the incident and he is on the leave or in the hospital, so then downtime or production loss is a direct cost. Lost production due to downtime, maybe the employee injured was running the business or running the plant is not available, so there is a downtime, or maybe the plant itself is damaged. Then damage to building or equipment, repair costs or replace costs are the direct costs. Then claims, any type of or the sick pays you are paying for the workers. So these are types of direct costs. Indirect costs, high staff turnover, your workers are not satisfied with you, they will try to leave you. Recruitment, training, you are hiring new people, cost related to these hiring and training are indirect cost. Poor reputation, bad uh, performance in HSE, more accidents, incidents, you will lose your reputation, you may lose your customer. Then high staff absence due to which low productivity or downtime is an indirect cost. Accident investigations, different types of costs that may involve that may arise due to the investigation process are indirect costs. Low morale of the worker, low performance, low productivity. So this cost is indirect cost. First aid provisions are basically the direct cost. But here the first aid, basically the worker who was operating your plant has to go for provide the first aid. During that time, plant or equipment is off and there is downtime. So this cost is basically indirect cost. Next topic is purpose of the risk assessment. There are too many reasons, but the key or major one are three. Number one, achieve the compliance, meet the legal requirements so we can avoid any legal consequences or implications. Then avoid the accidents to ensure that we don't have to bear any direct or indirect costs that come due to the incidents. Then controlling the near misses, basically near misses are also incidents, but you did not lose, they don't cause any harm to you. But maybe next time they cause the harm. So to avoid these near misses and ensure that our health and safety is effective, we conduct risk assessment. Next, why report the near miss? Basically, very important to report the near miss. To avoid, prevent reoccurrence. Basically, these are incidents without harm. So maybe next time they will convert into accidents, so to avoid it. Then shows the weakness in the systems and procedures. So this is essential because they let us identify and correct the weakness of the system. Then show trends and patterns. There is a thought question in the next slide. We will discuss trends and patterns. At the end of the slide, you can stop the video and you can think of the answer. What do you think? What is meant by trends and patterns in HSE? Then can identify the training needs. So these are the things that near misses help in identifying. How they do, basically near misses are basically the when we report them, we get the data, we get the stats, and then we analyze it. And after the analysis, we can conclude how these things can be corrected. Next topic is accident triangle principle, very important one. This principle basically develops a relationship between the organization's near misses and accidents. And it finds out the ratio and emphasize that if we do not control these near misses effectively, then they have all the potential to become convert into the minor accidents, and then these minor accidents can convert into the accidents, giving us the big loss. So it is very important to control these near misses at first place. This analysis is based on the information we get from the trends and patterns that we identify from the information that we collected during the monitoring process. So basically trends tell us that which incidents are happening and what is their frequency, while the trends patterns basically tell us that what are the situations, circumstances, conditions, or the locations where they happen more frequently. So by using these data, we develop a ratio that basically tell us what is the ratio of converting near miss into the minor accidents and then minor into the major accident. Implications of accidents and ill health. Employee has to be at pain and suffering. Maybe he lose his job. Maybe in the future he is unable to do any job because of the permanent disability or the ill health issues. Employer loses a skilled worker competency level. Then direct, indirect cost employer has to bear. Then enforcement actions, maybe there is any legal breach, then there can be the consequences, imprisonment, fines, etc. The society also bears the uh, consequences like in form of their healthcare programs and welfare programs. They feel the burden. So these are implications of the health accidents and ill health. Next topic, how to prevent accidents. You can test your knowledge here, stop the video, think of the answer, and then restart. So let's see. So how to prevent? Obviously, accidents and ill health can be prevented by implementing suitable and sufficient risk assessment. If we implement the suitable risk assessment, obviously we can prevent all of the incidents and accidents. We covered today's topic. Let's conclude them. Risk assessment basics. Risk assessment is careful examination of the workplace to identify any sources of harm and then controlling them. Then if there is a poor HSE, we have to bear the direct, indirect cost. Then purpose of the risk assessment is to ensure that we comply with the legal requirement, we avoid accidents, and we report the near misses. Accident triangles basically give us the relationship between near misses and accidents and emphasize that we should control the near misses so we can avoid the accidents as well. Impacts of the accidents are on the employee. He has to bear the pain and suffering. Employer has to face that direct, indirect cost and maybe legal consequences. Also, the accidents also impact the society in form the they burden the welfare and healthcare programs of the society. So that was it for today. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Thank you for watching and your support. So until next video, see you in the next video with the next topic. So until then, take care, stay healthy, keep learning. Allah Hafiz.